A woman suffers a serious accident on her wedding day and falls into a coma. After months, she wakes up and discovers that she has not received any visitors. But what she discovers when she returns home is terrifying. Anna Lewis was alone in her room, lit only by the soft light of sunset filtering through the curtain. In her hands, she held the white wedding dress as delicate as the memory of her mother. It was the last thing she had left of the woman who taught her to be strong. Even in moments of pain, her fingers traced the handmade embroidery, each stitch carrying a story that her mother could never tell her again. "I wish you were here, Mom," she whispered with a broken voice as a silent tear rolled down her cheek. Looking at herself in the mirror with the dress in her hands, she tried to imagine what it would be like to see herself dressed as a bride. But all she saw was a confused woman struggling with the weight of choices she felt she had not made. Her marriage to Mark, her teenage love, should be the happiest day of her life. Why did she feel so bad? Maybe it was the constant shadow of Michael, her stepfather, who repeated endlessly that this wedding was her only chance to have a stable life. "Without Mark, you will have no future," he said in a tone that sounded more like a threat than advice. Anna Lewis tried to push the doubts away, but they haunted her like ghosts. Mark loved her just like before. "I just want a sign, Mom," she whispered into the void. A gentle breeze moved the curtain, reminding her of the days when her mother would comb her hair and say, "Life will test you, my little one, but never let anyone dim your light." Now, it was hard to believe that as she put away the dress. Anna Lewis looked out the window and saw a Mark in the distance, talking to Michael. They looked serious. She tried to decipher their expressions, but something in their eyes caused a knot in her chest. What were they hiding from her? That question would not let her sleep that night. The next day, Anna Lewis spent hours carefully preparing for the wedding with the help of her cousin Claire. Once ready, the car drove toward the church. She looked out the window, watching the world go by like a blur. Her heart was restless, beating with a mixture of anxiety and sadness. "I'll be doing the right thing," she whispered. But her mother, AA, sitting next to her, didn't hear her. The driver seemed tense, the sky was grey, and light rain was beginning to turn the asphalt into a slippery mirror. Anna Lewis clutched her dress as if that could ward off the thoughts that tormented her. "Will I be able to handle this?" Suddenly, a loud noise, tires skidding, a truck coming too fast on the curve. It all happened in seconds, but for Anna Lewis, it seemed like an eternity. She heard her godmother scream and saw the driver turn the steering wheel desperately, and then the impact. The world spun around her as the car window shattered into 1,000 pieces. The sound of metal twisting was followed by a terrifying silence. Anna Lewis tried to move, but her body would not respond. The last thing she saw before losing consciousness was the dress in her hands, now stained red. When the sirens began to sound in the distance, bringing a glimmer of hope, her family was already gathered at the church with no idea what had happened. A question began to circulate among the guests. Where is Anna Lewis? Hours later in the hospital, the scene was one of pure despair. The doctor, Dr. Samuel, appeared with a grave expression, but before he could say anything, the nurse's eyes fixed on him. "Is she going to survive?" she asked in a shaky voice. But Samuel's silence was more terrifying than any answer as Anna Lewis was rushed into surgery. Another question floated in the air. Where was her family, and why hadn't they come to the hospital? The silence in the hospital was oppressive, broken only by the sound of hurried footsteps and the constant beeping of machines. Dr. Samuel, his face marked by exhaustion, came out of the operating room and looked at the nurse, who was still pacing back and forth in the hallway. "She's alive but in critical condition. We did everything we could for now," he said in a voice laden with uncertainty. The nurse nodded, but something in her gaze seemed distant, almost cold, and the doctor asked in a tone that was more irritated than concerned. But Mark wasn't there. The hours passed, and the only person who showed up was Mariah, a distant cousin of Anna Lewis's. She was carrying a small bag in her hands, with the few belongings rescued from the accident. Objects belonging to her godmother Claire, who did not survive, and things belonging to Anna Lewis, the wedding dress, now torn and stained, a chain that Anna Lewis always wore with a heart pendant, and a letter she had been keeping for months. This was with her at the time of the accident. "Could we keep it here for when she wakes up?" said Mariah with tears in her eyes as she handed them to Dr. Samuel. He looked at the pendant, which seemed to have something inside, but decided to keep it, thinking that Anna Lewis should be the first to see it. When she woke up, the doctor was worried. Where were the groom and the stepfather? Mariah, her voice trembling, asked, "They haven't come yet." The question hung in the air, unanswered. Meanwhile, Dr. Samuel felt something strange. He had seen cases like this before, desperate boyfriends who would not leave their loved ones' sewers, begging for news. But Anna Lewis's boyfriend was not there. Not a call, not a message, only silence. Why didn't he come? He knows what she means to him, Samuel thought. He knew that absence would weigh heavily on Anna Lewis when she woke up. And a deeper question began to arise. Did Mark really want to marry Anna Lewis? As if he had slept one night and woken up the morning 5 months after the accident on a quiet morning. Anna Lewis opened her eyes for the first time. The world around her seemed like a distant dream, blurred fluorescent lights, and a silence so heavy it was deafening. She tried to move her hand, but her body wouldn't respond. Where were the words? Only a weak hoarse sound came out. Her throat burned as if 1,000 knives were cutting into it. Her eyes fixed on the small table next to the bed there, like a cruel reminder, were the wedding rings, a perfect pair of gold rings resting in a velvet box. She blinked in confusion and tried to stretch her fingers to reach them, but her body would not obey. The sound of hurried footsteps echoed in the room. A nurse entered and, seeing her awake, ran to call the doctor. "It's a miracle she's awake, Dr. Samuel. Come quickly." Minutes later, Dr. Samuel entered the room. His face, marked by tension and exhaustion, lit up briefly, but soon his expression became serious, as if he already knew that what was coming would not be easy. "Anna Lewis, I know you're confused, and you'll want to understand everything. You're safe now," he said, sitting down beside her. His voice was calm but firm. "I'll be direct. There's no other way to say it. You were in a coma for 2 months. Your body suffered, and due to the coma and lack of movement all this time, it will take time for you to recover. It will be difficult, but I'm here to help you." She tried to respond, looking at the wedding rings, but only tears rolled down her face. Dr. Samuel understood, took her hand gently, feeling her weakness. "I know you have many questions, and I will answer everything, but you need to know that." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "Your boyfriend left the wedding rings here, but he did not come to visit you during this time." Those words pierced Anna Lewis's heart, Anna Lewis more deeply than any wound on her body. Why hadn't he come? Had he given up on her? The silence in the room was suffocating. She looked at the wedding rings again, feeling as if all the love she had put into them had become an unbearable burden. Dr. Samuel continued, "I know this is a lot to process. But you are strong, Anna Lewis. I saw you every day as you fought for your life. Now it's time to fight for yourself." He took out the pendant he had kept and placed it gently in her hand. "Maybe this will help you remember who you really are." As Anna Lewis closed her eyes, letting the tears fall, a new question arose in her mind. If the man she loved had disappeared, what else had she lost while she was trapped in that void? That question would remain unanswered for now. The emptiness of the hospital room seemed to reflect the emptiness inside Anna Lewis. The days after she woke up were filled with silence, except for the sound of the careful footsteps of the medical staff and the discreet comments she overheard. "She's young, but no one comes to see her," whispered a nurse. "And it's strange that her boyfriend hasn't come even once," replied another. Those words were like knives, slowly cutting away what little remained of her emotional strength. When Dr. Samuel came in to check on her progress, Anna Lewis gathered all the strength she had to speak, even though every word was a painful battle. "Don't say I woke up," she whispered, pausing to catch her breath. Samuel frowned. Anna Lewis, you have the right for people to know you're alive. Your recovery needs support, love, someone to help you. She looked away and focused on the rings that were still on the nightstand. If no one came while I was in a coma, why would they come now? I want to see who really misses me. Samuel took a deep breath, clearly torn between respecting her request and the logic that she needed company. Are you sure this could be more difficult than you imagine? He said, his voice full of concern. If no one came looking for me. Maybe it's because I was never important to them, Anna Lewis replied, with silent tears rolling down her face. The decision was made. She would remain silent, watching, waiting to find out who really cared. The following days were a test of emotional endurance. Her cousin Mariah was the only one who came from time to time, bringing flowers once a month. Michael, her stepfather, did not show up a single day, and Mark, the boyfriend who had promised to love her forever, remained a deafening absence. Anna Lewis wondered if everyone had forgotten her, but there was one constant presence, a light in the darkness. Dr. Samuel. He read her stories, talked to her even though he received no answers, and encouraged her physical therapy as if her recovery were something personal to him. Why does he care so much? Anna Lewis wondered, intrigued as she watched this man who seemed to be always by her side. Something inside her began to change, but even so she couldn't avoid the pain of feeling alone. If I disappeared forever, would anyone really notice? That question echoed in her mind, feeding both her sadness and her determination to discover the truth. He was by your side throughout the coma, you know, commented a nurse one afternoon as she adjusted the sheets. Anna Lewis, who remained motionless still without much movement, paid attention, although she did not react. Although it seemed impossible, he did not give up. He read to you and spoke to you as if you could hear him. It was as if he believed you would come back, even when no one else did. The nurse continued with a gentle smile. Those words sparked something in Anna Lewis. She began to remember fragments of the time she was in a coma, but she didn't know if it was her imagination. Maybe it was just a feeling. Distant voices, a calm presence by her side, someone holding her hand in the darkest moments. Could it be him? Later, the doctor. Samuel entered the room with a book in his hands. He looked tired but determined. He sat down in the chair next to her bed, as he did every day, and began to read. Today I chose a passage that I thought was beautiful, he said, opening the book. His voice was calm but full of emotion. As he read, Anna Lewis felt something new. It wasn't just the pain of abandonment that consumed her, but a threat of Claire, even without knowing that she was conscious now. Samuel was still there, present, as if his own hope were enough for both of them. When he finished reading, he closed the book and looked at her. You know, Anna Lewis, sometimes life puts us through trials that we don't understand, but I believe that you have a strength that you can't even imagine. I'm here for you, no matter how long it takes. Those words echoed in her mind. Why did he care so much? What made that man believe in her when everyone else had given up? When Dr. Samuel left, Lewis stared at the door for the first time. The loneliness seemed a little less suffocating. The sound of voices in the hallway reached Anna Lewis's room like a distant whisper. She was slowly waking up, her body still heavy and weak, but something in those words caught her attention. Did you know that her fiancé got engaged to someone else so quickly after the accident? Said a soft but indignant female voice. It's absurd, replied another, and he didn't even have the decency to come here once. Imagine how he would feel if he knew. Every word pierced Anna Lewis like a knife engaged to another woman. It can't be true. She tried to move, tried to call someone, but her weak voice reached no one. Tears began to run down her face, silent, but so intense that they seemed to carry all the sadness she had accumulated in the last few months. What had once been only a devastating absence now had a name: betrayal. The image of Mark that she had kept as an anchor in her mind began to crumble. Why did he this? Did he even think of me? She thought, her heart breaking at the idea that while she was fighting for her life, he had moved on. The sound of the door opening brought her back to reality. It was Dr. Samuel coming in to check on her. But when he saw her face marked by tears, he stopped immediately. Anna Lewis. "What happened?" he asked, approaching her. She couldn't answer, just turned her face to one side, unable to look at the only person who seemed to really care about her. Samuel sighed and sat down beside her. He knew something was consuming her, but he also knew he couldn't force her to talk. "You're stronger than you think," he said, taking her hand gently. "Whatever it is, I'm here." Those words gave her a little comfort, but the pain was still unbearable. Anna Lewis knew that from now on she would have to fight against a new shadow, that of being forgotten by the one she loved most. When Samuel left, she closed her eyes and thought, "I'm so easy to leave behind. What else did he hide from me while I was in the dark?" The days following the discovery of Mark's betrayal were a whirlwind of emotions for Anna Lewis. The pain was overwhelming, as if a piece of her soul had been torn away. She spent entire nights staring at the ceiling of her room with her eyes burning from crying so much. How could he abandon her like that? Why did she fight so hard to survive if no one seems to care? These questions echoed in her mind, but Shikuri couldn't come up with any answers. The emptiness was overwhelming. One morning, as the sun streamed through the window, Anna Lewis felt something different. She realized that she was tired not only of the physical pain, but also of feeling that her life was in the hands of others. She looked at the small table next to her where the rings were still lying. With enormous effort, she stretched out her hand and managed to throw them on the floor. "Enough," she whispered, with a trembling but determined voice. At that moment, something changed inside her. She didn't want to continue being defined by the decisions or abandonment of others. If she was alive, she would fight for herself. When Dr. Samuel entered the room, he saw Anna Lewis trying to get up with all her strength. Her arms were trembling. Her face was red from the effort, but her determination was evident. "Are you ready to start?" he asked with a small smile of encouragement. Anna Lewis looked at him and for the first time in a long time was able to nod her head. The first physical therapy sessions were brutal. Every movement seemed like an impossible challenge, every attempt an imminent failure. But with every stumble, with every tear shed along the way, Anna Lewis remembered her mother's words, "You are stronger than you imagine." Despite everything, doubt still haunted her. Will I ever be able to walk alone again? And more important, who will I be when that happens? And so began her inner struggle, a daily battle between pain and hope, between weakness and strength. A battle that, although lonely, would lead her to discover a strength she never imagined she had. The physical therapy room was lit with cold white lights. Every corner seemed intimidating to Anna Lewis, who could barely support her own weight. The parallel bars in front of her looked like an impossible challenge. Dr. Samuel was at her side with that encouraging smile she knew so well. "Let's go slowly, one step at a time, Lewis," he said in a calm voice, but full of expectation. She held the bars with trembling hands. Sweat ran down her face even before she attempted the first movement. When she finally managed to move her right foot a few centimeters, the effort felt enormous. "That's very good. That's how you start," said Samuel, his eyes shining with pride. Every movement was a battle. The pain burned her legs and arms, and her breathing became heavier with each attempt. But the sound of Samuel's voice, Samuel in the background, celebrating every small step of progress, was a constant reminder that she was not alone in that moment. However, when the session ended, silence returned to dominate her. At night in her room, the darkness seemed to bring back all her fears and insecurities. Anna Lewis stared at the ceiling as tears ran down her face in a constant stream. Why am I doing this? Is it really worth it? The image of Mark continued to haunt her. Leave that pain behind. On one of those nights, Dr. Samuel arrived with a cup of tea and a concerned look. "I know this isn't easy for you," he said, sitting down next to her. "But every step you take is proof that you are overcoming something much greater than you imagine." She looked at him, words stuck in her throat. If you keep going, you'll realize that strength isn't just for others. It's for yourself, he added with a gentle smile. That night, Anna Lewis understood that the struggle wasn't just physical. It was a battle for her own dignity, for her identity. If I manage to walk again, who will I be? Will I find the strength to start over? Mornings in the physical therapy room were always difficult for Anna Lewis. The pain, frustration, and weight of silence made each day a greater challenge. But on one of those mornings, something different happened. Sitting in a wheelchair, a young woman with short hair and a bright smile entered into the room. Her name was Lucy, and although she couldn't move her legs, she seemed to carry an energy that lit up the whole place. "It's like this," said Lucy in a playful tone when she saw Anna Lewis hesitating at the parallel bars. "Don't worry, it's horrible at first. But then it gets better, more or less." Anna Lewis looked up in surprise. She wasn't used to hearing anything other than technical words of encouragement or pity. But Lucy was different, as if she had decided that life wasn't going to defeat her so easily. During the break in the session, Lucy approached me. "My name is Lucy and you're Anna Lewis." She took a deep breath before responding, her voice still uncertain. "Anna Lewis. That's a pretty name," replied Lucy as if nothing had happened. "How long have you been here?" Anna Lewis just looked down. Lucy noticed her discomfort but didn't insist. Instead, she started talking about herself. "I lost the use of my legs in a car accident. Before that, I was a dancer. Can you believe it? My mom used to say I couldn't sit still for even a second." She laughed, but her eyes reflected something deeper, a pain she was trying hard to hide. Anna Lewis remained silent, but something inside her began to change. Lucy was like a mirror of everything she felt but couldn't express in words. In the days that followed, the two began to spend more time together. Lucy would make jokes during exercises, eliciting discreet laughter from Anna Lewis. "Even in the most difficult moments, you know what I discovered here," said Lucy on one of those days. "We only lose out in life when we let it take away who we are. And from what I can see, you still have so much to show the world." Those words stayed in the mind of Anna Lewis because for the first time she felt that she was not completely alone. The friendship between the two grew, bringing a new light to Anna Lewis's life. It was a quiet afternoon in the hospital, and Dr. Samuel was checking the belongings of Anna Lewis that had been kept to give to her. Among them were the torn wedding dress, the necklace with the heart-shaped pendant, and hidden in a bag, a small aged envelope. He picked it up carefully, feeling the weight of the memories it seemed to carry. On the back was a phrase written in delicate handwriting. "To my dear Anna." Lewis Samuel hesitated for a moment, as if opening that letter were an invasion of something sacred. But realizing that it might contain something important, he decided to read it. The words written on the worn sheet made his heart sink. "My beloved daughter, if you are reading this, it means that fate has separated us sooner than I wanted. But even if the world turns its back on you, always remember that you are light. Never let them extinguish you. With all my love, Mom." Samuel took a deep breath, feeling the depth of those words. He imagined how much Anna to hear that, especially now when she seemed so fragile and lost. But he knew it wasn't the right time. He carefully put the letter in his briefcase as if protecting a piece of Anna Lewis. She has to be ready for this, he thought in the days that followed. The letter wouldn't leave his mind. He saw Anna Lewis struggling to take her first steps, trying to find strength where there seemed to be none. He saw the pain in her eyes when silence enveloped her at night. And yet she continued, step by step, she will know how strong she is. She will feel her mother's love even now. The letter became a secret between Samuel and himself, a reminder that even in the darkest situations, the right words can rekindle hope. He knew that the day would come when Anna Lewis would be ready to receive that final gift from her mother. But until then, he would be the guardian of the words he believed could change everything. As he looked at the envelope, a silent promise took shape in his heart. I will help her find the light her mother saw in her no matter what. It was a quiet morning at the hospital, but for Anna Lewis, every day felt like an emotional battlefield. She was struggling to walk a few steps down the hallway with Lucy by her side, encouraging her with cheerful words. "You're almost there, girl. One more step, and I swear I'll give you a prize," Lucy joked. Anna Lewis smiled slightly, something strange, and took another shaky step. When she finally stopped to rest, something caught her attention on the other side of the hallway. At the reception desk was a man she would recognize anywhere. Mark. For a second, time seemed to stand still. Her breathing became heavy, her legs gave way, and Lucy had to hold her to prevent her from falling. "Hey, calm down. What happened?" Lucy asked worriedly. Anna Lewis didn't answer. Her eyes were fixed on Mark, who had his arm around a woman. She was pregnant with her hand on her belly. It was small, but that gesture of affection was only made by women expecting a baby. Mark echoed in the hallway as he spoke to the receptionist, unaware of Anna Lewis's presence. The scene was a devastating blow. Everything she had tried to overcome seemed to come rushing back. The pain of betrayal, abandonment, and doubt about her own worth flooded her mind. "Do you know him?" Lucy asked, noticing the expression on Anna's face. Lewis took a deep breath, trying to hold back the tears. "Is that him, Mark?" Lucy looked at the couple in the distance, and her expression hardened. "He's lucky I can't run, because I'd go after him right now." But Anna Lewis shook her head. No, it's not worth it." She looked away, but the scene remained etched in her memory. Although she tried to appear strong, tears began to roll down her face. When she returned to her room, Dr. Samuel immediately noticed that something was wrong. "Anna Lewis, what happened?" She didn't answer. She just closed her eyes, trying to contain the pain. Samuel didn't insist, but remained by her side, a silent pillar of support that night. Being alone, Anna Lewis reflected, "He forgot me completely. He didn't even think about me. I really meant nothing to him." Despite the pain, a small voice inside her began to emerge. If he moved on, why was I still tied to this? That question would become a turning point in her life, but at that moment, all she felt was the overwhelming weight of a story that seemed to no longer have a place for her. Anna Lewis sat on her bed, looking out the window at the city lights flickering in the distance. But to her, everything seemed distant, as if the world outside no longer belonged to her. Dr. Samuel entered the room with his usual calm, carrying a glass of water and a look that seemed to see beyond the surface. He noticed the sadness on Anna Lewis's face and decided that this would be the night to open a door that had been closed for a long time. "You're thinking about the past, aren't you?" he asked, sitting down on the chair next to the bed. She just nodded without taking her eyes off the window. "I understand how that feels." He began in a voice laden with something she had never heard before. "Losing someone we love, feeling that they left us behind, is a pain that seems to have no end, Anna." Lewis turned to him, intrigued. "You really understand?" Her voice was weak but full of doubt. Samuel took a deep breath, as if gathering the courage to continue. "Yes, I understand. A few years ago, I lost my wife in a car accident. It was a rainy night, and I was stuck at the hospital attending to emergencies. She was alone, and I never had the chance to say goodbye, to tell her how much I loved her. I had so many things to say to her, and I couldn't." The words floated in the air, full of emotion. Anna Lewis felt an unexpected connection, as if for the first time someone truly understood the depth of her pain. "I blamed myself for a long time," he continued, "for not being there, for not being able to save her. But over time I realized that what she would have wanted most was for me to continue helping people and living as she always believed I could do." Samuel looked directly at Anna Lewis, his eyes shining with sincerity. "That's why I'm here, Anna Lewis. When you were in a coma, I promised myself that I would do everything I could to help you, because I saw in you the same strength that my wife had." Even when all seemed lost, tears began to roll down Anna Lewis's cheeks. "You took care of me more than Mark has taken care of me in all the years I've known him." Samuel took her hand with delicacy. I'm not here to replace anyone. I'm here because I believe in you. Because you deserve someone who will be by your side no matter what happens." At that moment, something changed in Anna Lewis. She realized that Samuel was not only healing her body, but also helping to rebuild something inside her that she thought she had lost forever: faith in herself and in true love. The physical therapy room was silent except for the rhythmic sound of Anna Lewis's heavy breathing. She was standing between the parallel bars with sweaty hands gripping the cold metal tightly. "You can do it, Anna Lewis," encouraged Dr. Samuel, standing next to her and watching her every move with a mixture of hope and concern. "Come on, girl, show them who's boss," joked Lucy, sitting in her wheelchair, but with her eyes shining with expectation. Anna Lewis took a deep breath, feeling her legs tremble. Every step up to that point had been a challenge, but this one was different. For some reason, she felt that this one was more important. She closed her eyes and for a moment heard her mother's words echoing in her mind. "You are light, never let them dim you." With a tremendous effort, she moved her right foot forward. It was a small, almost insignificant movement, but enough to cause silence in the room. "You did that. Did it all by yourself?" Lucy shouted, breaking the tension. Anna Lewis opened her eyes and for the first time in months felt something that had disappeared amid the pain and struggle: hope. Dr. Samuel took a step forward, keeping his hands close to her in case she needed support. Now the other foot. "Anna Lewis, one at a time. You're almost there." The left foot followed, and then another step and another. Each movement seemed like a small victory, as if she were reclaiming something that had been taken from her. When she finally stopped exhausted but standing, Lucy began to clap enthusiastically. "I told you, you were amazing." Dr. Samuel couldn't contain his smile. "You did it, Anna Lucy, you did it." And it was at that moment that it happened. Slowly, almost shyly, Anna Lewis smiled. Not a forced smile or one to hide the pain, but a genuine smile full of relief and pride. Lucy, realizing this, opened her eyes wide. "Wait, you're smiling. This is a miracle." Anna Lewis laughed softly as she felt tears welling up. But this time they weren't tears of sadness. They carried with them everything she had fought to overcome: the pain, the abandonment, the betrayal. As Dr. Samuel helped her sit up, he said in a soft tone, "That smile is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." That night, alone in her room, Anna Lewis thought, "If I could smile today, what else can I achieve tomorrow?" It was only the beginning, but that little smile was like opening a window in a dark room, letting the light back in. The hallway was empty that afternoon. Anna Lewis decided she would try to walk alone without the help of S or Lucy, without the parallel bars, just her and the strength she was trying to find within herself. She looked at her feet, concentrating. "I can do this. I've taken steps before. Why would today be any different?" she thought, trying to convince herself with her hands resting on the wall. She took the first step, then the second came. Shortly after, more hesitant. But then, as she tried to move forward again, her knees gave way before she could support herself. She fell hard onto the cold floor. The physical pain was intense, but what hurt the most was the feeling of failure. Sitting on the floor, Anna Lewis couldn't hold back the tears. "Why do I keep trying? What's the point? What do I gain from this?" She muttered to herself with words laden with frustration and despair. The images of Mark, the betrayal, the abandonment, it all came back to her with every tear that fell. The doubt grew. What if I never recover? What if all this is for nothing? Dr. Samuel found Anna Lewis still sitting on the floor, with her face covered in tears and her shoulders shaking. He knelt down beside her, his heart aching to see her so defeated. "Are you okay?" he asked in a soft but firm voice. "No, I'm not okay. I can't. I can't keep doing this. It's too difficult," Anna Lewis replied, sobbing. Samuel remained silent for a moment, letting her release her pain. Then he took her hands gently, waiting for her to look at him. "Listen to me, Lewis," he began. "You have already overcome the impossible. Think about where you were months ago, in a room, trapped in a coma, not knowing if you would wake up. Then you started talking. You could barely move your fingers. And now you're here trying to take steps on your own. That's incredible. She shook her head, her voice breaking. But I fell. I failed. Samuel smiled gently. Falling is not the end. It's part of the process. Do you think I've stumbled in my life that I've never had moments when I thought I couldn't go on? We all have them, Lewis, but what defines who we are is what we do after those falls. He helped her up, looking her in the eyes. One stumble can't erase everything you've already achieved. You're stronger than you think, and I believe in you. Samuel's words penetrated deeply into Anna Lewis, planting a seed of renewed determination. Although she was still full of doubts, Anna Lewis felt that she was not alone in this struggle. Later, she and Lucy were in the hospital garden where the scent of flowers mingled with the sound of birds. After a difficult day, they had decided to rest in the open air in silence, each immersed in her own thoughts. You know, before the accident, I dreamed of being a dancer, Lucy said suddenly, breaking the silence. Anna Lewis looked at her in surprise, even though she had heard that story before. Dancer Lucy smiled, but it was a smile laden with nostalgia. Yes, since I was little, my mum always said that I didn't know how to walk. I only knew how to dance. Jazz, ballet, even salsa. I wanted to do that for the rest of my life. Anna Lewis noticed that Lucy's eyes, but there was a weight in them. She hesitated before asking, "And what happened?" Lucy took a deep breath, looking at her own hands. The accident happened during a performance. I was on my way to an important competition. It was the opportunity of my life. And then suddenly, it was all over. The words hung in the air, and for a moment, Anna Lewis felt the depth of Lucy's pain. But then Lucy looked at her and smiled again. The smile of someone who had found strength in the midst of tragedy. For a while, I thought I had lost everything, that there was no point in continuing. But you know what I learned? Anna Lewis shook her head, feeling the weight of the question. I didn't lose my passion. My body changed. Yes, but the love of dance is still here. Sometimes I put music on in my room and do what I can, even in a wheelchair, because giving up what makes me happy would be worse than any accident. Those words were engraved in Anna Lewis saw in Lucy, something that she herself could not find the courage to move forward, even when dreams seemed unattainable. Do you still have dreams? Anna Lewis asked. Lucy, in a soft but curious tone, said Anna Lewis had been silent for so long. Her life had been defined by what she had lost. Her mother, Mark, her independence. She had never stopped to think about what she might still want. That night, lying in her bed, Lucy's words echoed in her mind. I still have dreams. If so, what are they? Who do I want to be? Now, for the first time in months, Anna Lewis began to think about the future. Not as something frightening, but as a blank page waiting to be filled. And maybe, just maybe, it was time to start writing her own story. 3 months after her long battle in the hospital, she was finally ready to go home. Although she still used crutches, she could already take slow steps, and that was enough to start living. Her arms and speech were almost 100. Dr. Samuel and Lucy were by her side as the nurse adjusted the wheelchair. Although her strength was improving, she still needed support. I knew you would make it, girl, said Lucy with a proud smile. Anna Lewis tried to smile, but a feeling of anxiety and nostalgia weighed on her heart. The hospital, as difficult as it had become a refuge. There she faced her battles, made friends, and began to rediscover who she was. Returning home meant facing everything she had left behind. Memories of her mother, Mark's absence, and a life that seemed so distant when she arrived at her childhood home. Emotions hit her like a wave, the familiar smell of old wood, the flowers her mother loved in the garden, and the silence, a silence that seemed to scream all the words that were never said. She realized that Michael, her stepfather, was not there. Part of her felt relief, but another part felt a void. Despite everything, he was a figure in her life. Now the house seemed bigger and more lonely than ever. As she explored the rooms, Anna Lewis found her mother's bedroom exactly as she remembered it. The soft scent of the band still permeated the air. Tears ran down her face as she caressed the fabric of a handmade quilt, remembering the nights when her mother sang her to sleep. As she explored the room, Anna Lewis opened a drawer she hadn't touched for years. Inside, she found a small blue notebook, a diary she had completely forgotten about. She ran her fingers over the cover, hesitating before opening it. When she began to read, she was transported to a simpler time when she was still a teenager full of dreams. I want to help children who need support, teach them to play, give them love, maybe open a place just for them, something that would make my mother proud. Anna Lewis stood still. The words seemed to echo in her mind for so long she had focused on what she had lost, that she had forgotten what she wanted to build. She closed the diary, but not before seeing the last sentence written, "I don't know how, but someday I will achieve it." Hugging the notebook to her chest, Anna Lewis whispered, "I can still do it." The question was not rhetorical. It was a challenge that began to awaken something new within her, a spark of purpose that had been forgotten but never extinguished. The sunset brought a cold and melancholic air to the small house where Anna Lewis was trying to find peace. She was sitting in the garden. The diary of her youth was open on her lap. Every word she read seemed like a forgotten promise, an echo of who she was before her life changed so drastically. Suddenly she heard footsteps at the entrance. When she looked up, her heart stopped. For a moment it was Mark. He seemed unsure, almost uncomfortable, as if he couldn't believe what he was seeing. "Anna Lewis, is it really you?" She felt her stomach churn, a mixture of surprise, pain, and anger. "What are you doing here?" Mark asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "The neighbors told me you had come back." "I didn't believe it. I thought it was a mistake," he replied incredulously. "A mistake," she repeated bitterly. "Voice, I was here all along. Only you didn't care to know." He looked down, ashamed. "I thought you wouldn't survive." And I paused, struggling to find the right words. "I have to tell you something." Anna Lewis crossed her arms, the pain and distrust clear on her face. "Just say it already, Mark. I never wanted to marry you," she confessed, her voice low, almost a whisper. "Michael pressured me. He said it was my duty after so many years of dating that if I didn't do it, he would ruin your life and he would ruin mine. That he had to take her away from her home." She remained silent, his words sticking in her mind like knives. "So you left me to die, believing we were something we never were." Mark looked at her desperately. "I didn't know what to do. I felt trapped. I thought I was doing the right thing by walking away to free myself from what I was about to do." Tears began to roll down Anna Lewis's face, but her expression was not one of sadness, but of deep, almost unbearable pain. "It wasn't Michael who chose for you, Mark. You chose to leave me," she said with a trembling voice, but full of truth. "You had the opportunity to be honest, to stay by my side, but you chose to run away. And now you do. You want me to accept your apology, to forget everything I went through alone." Mark remained silent, unable to respond. "I lost my mother, my body, my life, and the only one who should have been with me was the first to turn his back on me without waiting for an answer." Anna Lewis turned around and went into the house, closing the door behind her. Inside, she slid to the floor, letting the tears fall uncontrollably. "If only you were here, Mom," she murmured to herself, hugging the diary to her chest. But something inside her changed at that moment. For the first time, she realized that she didn't need Mark or Michael to define who she was. What she needed was inside her, waiting to be discovered. "If he chose to leave me, then I choose to move on," she thought, though with a heavy heart. And as night fell, Anna Lewis began to feel that perhaps this was the real beginning of her new life. The night was dark and silent in the small house of Anna Lewis's childhood. After meeting with Mark, she felt as if all the pieces of her past had scattered, leaving her alone to decide what to do with them. Sitting on the floor of her mother's room, the diary still open in her hands, she reread her own words from years ago. I want to help. I want to do something that means something for a long time. She had allowed others to define her path for so long. Michael, Mark, even the circumstances that had led her there. But now something inside her seemed to scream, enough is enough. She stood up, leaning on the table beside her, and looked in the mirror, seeing the reflection of a different woman. Her body still bore the marks of the accident, but her eyes, though tired, were more steady. Anna Lewis took a deep breath and murmured to herself, I can't change what happened, but I can choose what to do with what's left. The next morning, while having coffee in the garden, Lucy appeared at the entrance, her wheelchair climbing the small ramp with ease. Are you okay? Do you need company to curse Mark again? Joked Lucy, trying to lighten the mood. Anna Lewis smiled slightly. No, Lucy, I've already made my decision. I'm not going back to the lives of anyone who has abandoned me. Neither Mark nor Michael. They had their chance. Now it's my turn. Lucy looked at her with eyes full of admiration. And what are you going to do? Anna Lewis hugged the diary to her chest. I'm going to start over for myself, for my mom, and for all the kids who, like me, just need someone to believe in them. Lucy smiled excitedly. If you need help, you know where to find me. As the two talked, Anna Lewis realized that her decision was not just to cut ties with the past. It was about building something new, something that would give meaning to everything she had faced. I will be able to transform my pain into something greater. I will be able to be who I always wanted to be. Those questions continued to echo in her mind. But this time, they were accompanied by something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. As the two continued talking, her cell phone began to vibrate. Michael's name appeared on the screen. She hesitated before answering, but with a deep sigh she slid her finger to accept the call. Hello, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. So you're back? He began bluntly, his voice dry, almost cold. Yes, replied Anna Lewis, feeling his aggressive tone come through the line. I heard from the neighbors, and I want to make something very clear, Lewis. That house may have been the place where you grew up, but it's no longer yours. Now that your mother is dead, I no longer have any obligation to you. The words hurt her deeply. But Anna Lewis tried to remain calm. I'm only here temporarily, Michael. I don't intend to stay forever. I hope so, he replied sharply, because when I return from my trip, I want the house empty. You have no right to be there, and I don't want any problems. I thought that was clear when you went to the hospital. That house was never yours, and I'm not going to support anyone except someone who is sick. The silence that followed was deafening. Anna Lewis felt a lump in her throat, but refused to show weakness. Understood, Michael. You have nothing to worry about. I'll leave. Perfect, he said before hanging up abruptly. When the call ended, Anna Lewis stood staring at her cell phone. Michael's words continued to echo in her mind, but at the same time, something inside her was beginning to change. That house may not be mine, but my life is. That can't be taken away from me, she thought, hugging her mother's diary tightly to her chest. The next morning, Anna Lewis was sitting in the garden, thinking about what she would do and where she would go, feeling the gentle warmth of the sun on her skin. The diary rested in her lap, its pages open to the dreams she had written years ago. Since she had decided to move on, she felt a new lightness, but the path still seemed uncertain. Dr. Samuel appeared at the entrance of the house with a calm expression, but an unusual gleam in his eyes. He was carrying a folder under his arm and a cup of coffee in his hand. I brought coffee. I thought you might need it, he said with a smile that seemed to understand more than she was saying. Anna. Lewis accepted the coffee and watched him as he sat down next to her, always full of surprises. Doctor, she commented in a light tone. Well, I think I have another one for you today, he replied, opening the folder and taking out some papers. Curious, Anna Lewis looked at the documents. But before I could ask, Samuel began to explain. I've been thinking a lot about what you told me about wanting to do something meaningful, something that honors your mother and gives meaning to everything you've been through. And Lucy told me about yesterday's conversation with your ex-step. She nodded, still unsure of where I was going with this. Well, it seems like fate because I've been thinking, and I have a place, she continued, a small property that belonged to my wife after she left. I didn't know what to do with it, but now I think I've found the perfect purpose. He showed the papers to Lucy with plans for a modest but spacious building. Modest but spacious. I want to transform it into a rehabilitation center. A place where people like you, like Lucy, can find not only physical healing, but also a space to dream again. Anna Lewis remained silent, his words echoing in her mind. A rehabilitation center, she asked, almost unable to believe it. Samuel smiled. Yes, but I don't want to do it alone. I want you to be part of this. I want you to be there contributing your ideas, your strength, and all the inspiration you are to those who go through this. She felt tears welling up in her eyes, but this time they weren't tears of sadness. Do you really think I can do it? That I'm capable of helping someone? I don't think so. Anna Lewis, I know you can, Samuel replied firmly. Look at everything you've overcome. Look at who you're becoming. You have something no one else has. The ability to transform your pain into hope for others. Anna Lewis held the diary to her chest, his words mingling with the dreams she had forgotten for so long. For a moment she felt as if her mother were there, smiling at her and telling her it was time to shine again. I accept, she said, her voice trembling but full of determination. While Samuel smiled. Anna Lewis realized that this was not just the beginning of a project, it was the beginning of a new life. A life she was choosing to build with her own hands. The old building that had once seemed abandoned began to come to life under the dedicated hands of Anna Lewis and Samuel. The walls were painted in cheerful colors. The hallways were filled with natural light, and each room was carefully prepared to welcome those who needed a new beginning. It's more than a rehabilitation center, Anna said to Samuel as they put the finishing touches on a therapy room. It's a place where people can believe in themselves again. The first patients began to arrive, bringing with them stories of pain and hope that deeply moved Anna. Lewis, a man who had lost the use of his limbs after an accident. A mother who was struggling to teach her son to walk. Every smile, every small step forward filled Anna Lewis's heart with an emotion that was difficult to describe. One afternoon, while helping a young girl take her first steps, Anna Lewis realized something. I am giving back what I received. I am sharing the strength that Samuel and Lucy gave me when I thought everything was lost. Among the patients at the center, one child in particular caught Anna Lewis's attention. 7-year-old Miguelito had bright eyes and an energy that defied his wheelchair. He was at the center because he dreamed of walking again so he could play soccer with his friends. Will I be able to walk again? He asked one day, while Anna Lewis adjusted the weights for his therapy. I don't think so, Miguelito, she replied with a smile. I'm sure you will. Her confidence lit up the boy's face. Miguelito quickly became a constant presence alongside Anna Lewis, asking her questions about everything and telling stories about his imaginary soccer team. You know Miguelito, Anna Lewis said to him once. You remind me so much of someone. Who? He asked curiously. Myself when I was your age, full of dreams and courage. He smiled proudly. Then I'm going to make it, right? Yes, you will, she replied with a conviction that came from the depths of her being. With Miguelito, Anna Lewis began to see herself in a different way. He was a reflection of what she once was, and also of what she was becoming. Someone who never gave up, no matter how big the challenge. Could it be that by helping Miguelito achieve his dream, I am also achieving mine? Thought Anna Lewis. It was an afternoon with grey skies, and the rehabilitation center was quiet. Anna Lewis watched Miguelito in his physical therapy session. The boy was quieter than usual, his eyes fixed on the window where the trees moved in the wind. Are you okay, champ? Asked Anna Lewis, sitting down next to him. Miguelito looked at her with eyes shining with tears. He was trying to hold back. You know, Anna Lewis, I have a dream. She tilted her head, curious. What dream, Miguelito? He took a deep breath as if he were about to reveal a very important secret. I want to play soccer again. I want to run with my friends, score goals, feel the wind on my face. Anna Lewis felt a lump in her throat. He continued, his voice breaking, but what if I can never walk again? What if I can never run after the ball like I used to? She took his little hands in hers. Miguelito, do you know what the most incredible thing about dreams is? He shook his head, waiting for an answer. They give us strength to keep going, even when everything seems difficult. You are strong, stronger than you think. And as long as you believe, I will believe too. We will do it together. Okay. Miguelito smiled shilly, and for the first time in weeks, his eyes shone with hope when he returned to physical therapy. Anna Lewis stood watching. His words had ignited something inside her. Miguelito wasn't just a patient, he was a living reminder of why she had started all this. If he can dream so big, so can I, thought Anna Lewis a few days later, while Anna Lewis was adjusting the decoration of a new room in the center. A familiar voice echoed in the hallway. Wow, this is even prettier than I imagined. Anna Lewis turned quickly and saw Lucy coming in, smiling from ear to ear. She was wearing a t-shirt with the logo of the rehabilitation center and brought with her a contagious energy. Lucy, she exclaimed, Anna Lewis running to hug her. Surprise, Lucy replied, laughing. I decided it was time to do something useful. And what could be better than being here with you? Anna Lewis smiled, feeling her eyes fill with tears. You have no idea how much this means to me. Oh, come on, I'm a dancer, remember? Where there's music, I dance. And here, Anna Lewis feel like there's music in everything. Every smile, every achievement, I needed to be part of this. Lucy began talking to the patients and soon won them all over with her joy and sense of humor. But for Anna Lewis, her presence was more than just practical help. It was a reminder that friendship and true support were the foundation of everything they were building there. While Lucy played with Miguelito, Anna Lewis realized that the rehabilitation center was becoming exactly what she had always dreamed of. A place where pain was transformed into strength and forgotten dreams blossomed again. Could it be that my mom is watching? Could it be that she knew I would get here? Anna Lewis closed her eyes for a moment, allowing herself to feel the pride that was beginning to grow inside her. She was finally making the impossible happen. It was a sunny morning when Anna Lewis opened the doors of the rehabilitation center for another day of work. The place was full of life. The sound of children's laughter echoed through the hallways, while adult patients devoted themselves to their sessions with inspiring determination. Amid the hustle and bustle, one of the nurses entered with a local newspaper in her hand. Anna Lewis, you have to see this. Confused, she took the newspaper and, opening it to the indicated page, saw a prominent article titled From Victim to Inspiration. The story of Anna Lewis and the Esperanza Center. The article detailed her journey from the accident through her recovery and the creation of the rehabilitation center. There were photos of her with Samuel and the patients, including Miguel with his contagious smile. Anna Lewis felt her heart beating fast. It was strange to see her story in words, but at the same time there was something deeply gratifying in realizing that her struggle was inspiring other people. The next day, the doors of the center were filled with members of the community. Parents brought their children. Adults sought support, and people of all ages wanted to express their gratitude for the positive impact that the center was having on the region. You have no idea what you are doing for us, said an elderly woman as she held Anna Lewis's hands. My granddaughter never had any hope of walking again, but now, thanks to you, she believes she can do it. Lucy, always with her playful spirit, looked at Anna Lewis and said, I think you're already a local celebrity. You need security for the autographs. But Anna knew that this was more than recognition. It was a symbol of how much her pain and determination had transformed into something bigger, something that touched lives beyond her own. That night, as she was closing the center, Samuel approached her holding a bouquet of simple but beautiful flowers. "You deserve this," he said as he handed them to Anna Lewis. She looked at him in surprise. "Why?" "Because today you showed everyone what I have always known. You are an inspiration not only to me, but to everyone who crosses your path." Samuel's words moved her deeply, and Anna felt tears running down her face, but this time they were tears of joy. As she looked up at the starry sky that night, she whispered to herself, "Mum, I hope you're watching this. I did it." Our light never went out, and for the first time she felt that everything had been worth it. Could it be that I can achieve even more? Could it be that I am just beginning something bigger? It was a normal day at the rehabilitation center when Anna Lewis received a call from the hospital. On the other end of the line, the doctor in charge of her case explained something that left her speechless. "Anna Lewis, the tests show that there is a surgery that could significantly improve your mobility. But the risk is considerable. There is no guarantee that it will work, and there is a possibility of complications. But if all goes well, you could recover almost 100. She hung up the phone with her mind racing. The words echoed in her head. Significantly improve risk, no guarantee. Later, alone in the center, Anna Lewis reflected that the surgery could give her more freedom, more independence. But what if something went wrong? Would she be able to face another disappointment, another obstacle? As these doubts invaded her, she heard the familiar footsteps of Samuel. He had noticed her worried expression and approached her. "What happened?" he asked, sitting down next to her. She took a deep breath before telling him about the call, her voice trembling in Vria. "I don't know what to do. What if I fail again? What if I lose everything I've achieved so far?" Samuel was silent for a moment, listening attentively. Then he took her hand, his eyes fixed on hers. "Anna Lewis, you've already faced the impossible. You've overcome challenges that would have defeated other people. If anyone can do it, it's you. You." She looked at him with eyes full of tears. "But what if it doesn't work? What if I can never walk like before?" "Then we'll find another way," he replied in a firm but loving voice. "What matters is that you tried, that you had the courage to believe." Those words made her reflect. Samuel had always been by her side, never doubting her strength. Maybe it was time for her to believe in herself in the same way. The next morning, she walked into the doctor's office and with determination in her voice said, "I'm going to have the surgery." The days leading up to the surgery were filled with anxiety. Anna Lewis tried to keep busy at the center, but the fear was always present. At night, when everyone had left, she was alone, staring at the ceiling and wondering if she was making the right decision. The day before the surgery, Samuel came home with a bag from her favorite bakery and a smile that she recognized as an effort to cheer her up. "I brought you your favorite sweet bread. Do you think turning it down would be a good idea?" he joked, trying to lighten the mood. She laughed slightly, but soon her eyes filled with tears. "And if something goes wrong, Samuel, and if this ends with me?" He put the bag aside and approached her, taking both of her hands. "Listen to what I'm going to tell you. I'll be by your side, no matter what happens. If the surgery is a success, we'll celebrate together, and if there are difficulties, I'll be here to face them with you. I'm not going anywhere." His words were more than clear. They were a promise that Anna Lewis felt deeply. She held his gaze for a moment before asking almost in a whisper, "Why? Why do you care so much?" Samuel smiled with eyes full of sincerity. "Because you are much more than you think. You have shown me what strength, resilience, and courage mean, and because in some way I feel that I need to be here for you as much as you need me to be." Anna Lewis felt her heart squeeze. It was a kind of connection she had never experienced before. Could this be something more than support? Was she ready to feel something like this? That night, as she prepared for surgery, she felt a different kind of calm. It was not the absence of fear, but the presence of something stronger, hope, because for the first time she knew she was not alone on this journey. The morning of the surgery arrived with a heavy silence in the air. Anna Lewis was lying in the hospital bed, dressed in the blue gown for the procedure, her hair tied back simply. Every second seemed to last an eternity as she stared at the ceiling, trying to push away the dark thoughts that insisted on appearing. Then the door to the opened, revealing Samuel. His expression was calm, but there was something in his eyes that showed that this moment was as important to him as it was to her. He approached and, without saying anything at first, sat down next to her. Anna Lewis looked at him curiously. "What's going on, Samuel?" He took a deep breath and took a small envelope out of his pocket. The edge was slightly yellowed by time, and there was delicate calligraphy on the back that Anna Lewis would recognize anywhere. "I found this among your belongings. When you arrived at the hospital, I thought this was the right moment to give it to you," he said, placing the envelope in her hands. Anna Lewis felt a chill as she read the words to "My dear Anna Lewis." It was her mother's handwriting. With trembling hands, she opened the envelope and began to read the letter. The words were simple, but full of love and emotion. "My beloved daughter, if you are reading this, it means that fate separated us sooner than I wanted. But even if the world turns its back on you, always remember that you are light. Never let them dim your light. Life can be difficult, but you are stronger than you think. I will always be with you every step of the way, every decision, every moment of doubt. Keep going, my little one, and transform the pain into something beautiful. With all my love, Mom." Tears ran down Anna Lewis as she held the letter against her chest, feeling as if her mother were there, whispering those words in her ear. Samuel took her hand, its touch warm and comforting. "She knew who you were, Lewis, and she believed in you just as I believe." Anna Lewis looked up, her eyes still filled with tears. "Why did you give me this now?" "Because I knew you needed to remember where your strength comes from," he replied with a gentle smile. At that moment, something changed inside her. Doubt and fear gave way to renewed determination. Anna Lewis knew that surgery was just one more step on her journey. And with her mother's words in her heart and Samuel's unconditional support by her side, she felt she could face anything. When the medical team came in to take her to the operating room, she held the letter firmly. For a moment before returning it to Samuel, she said, "Keep it for me. I want to read it again when all this is over," she said. And as the door closed behind her, Samuel stood there holding the letter and murmuring to himself, "You're going to make it because you are light, Lewis, and no one can extinguish that." The hours seemed to stretch out like days in the waiting room of the Samuel was sitting in one of the uncomfortable chairs, with his body leaning forward and his hands clasped in a gesture of silent prayer. Next to him, Lucy was trying to stay positive, but even her natural cheerfulness was hidden by obvious concern. "Do you think she will be okay?" Lucy asked, breaking the silence. "She has to be," Samuel replied. Samuel, without taking his eyes off the door leading to the operating room. Lucy saw the determination on his face and felt a pang of admiration. "You really care that much about her, don't you?" Samuel looked at her, surprised by the direct question, but didn't answer immediately. Instead, he sighed. "I just want her to know how much she means to me and to the world. She deserves all the good things life has to offer." Lucy smiled slightly, trying to lighten the atmosphere. "Well, if it's up to her, she's going to walk out of here and put us all to work harder at the center." They both laughed, but the laughter quickly faded when the doctor in charge of the surgery appeared in the hallway. His serious expression made Samuel's heart began to pound. "She's stable, but it was a complicated surgery. We're monitoring her closely now. It's just a matter of time until she wakes up." The relief was immediate, but there was still some tension. Samuel thanked the doctor and returned to his chair. Feeling torn between fear and hope, he looked at the letter from Anna Lewis's mother in his pocket, holding it like a talisman. "You are light," he thought, repeating the words that seemed to have so much power. "Please come back to shine again." Time dragged on, and Samuel and Lucy remained in the hospital, exhausted but unable to leave. When the nurse approached them, a small smile lit up her face. "She's waking up." Those words were enough for Samuel jump to his feet. He followed the nurse to the room, feeling his heart race as he entered. He saw Anna Lewis opening her eyes slowly, as if she were emerging from a deep sleep. Anna Lewis whispered, approaching the bed. She blinked several times before focusing her gaze on him. A small smile appeared on her lips, faint but real. "I made it," she asked in a hoarse, soft voice. Samuel took her hand, his eyes shining with tears he made no attempt to hide. You did it. It was a success." Lucy entered behind him, pushing her wheelchair with a skill that seemed rehearsed. "I told you would make it, girl." Anna Lewis smiled more openly. Although she felt exhaustion in every part of her body, they were here the whole time. "Of course we were," Samuel replied, "and we're not going anywhere right now." Anna Lewis felt a relief that went beyond the physical. She was surrounded by people who believed in her, who had been by her side every step of the way. Would this be the beginning of a new life? A life in which she could be truly free, strong, and happy? As Samuel squeezed her hand, she knew that the answer was yes, and that new life was just beginning. Anna Lewis's recovery progressed slowly, but with determination, with every step. The rehabilitation center was busier than ever, but now she needed to devote more time to herself, balancing the two worlds that were so important to her on a quiet night as the starry sky illuminated the hospital garden. Samuel invited Anna Lewis to take a walk. He knew she needed fresh air, but also that there was something inside him that he could no longer keep to himself. They walked slowly with Samuel adjusting to her pace. As she got used to her body, which was beginning to respond better, the breeze was gentle, and the distant sound of the trees swaying created an almost magical atmosphere. "Are you okay?" Samuel asked, breaking the silence. Anna Lewis looked at him, smiling slightly. "I feel more alive than I have in years." There was something in her voice that encouraged him to continue. He stopped and turned towards her, taking her hands gently. "Anna Lewis, there's something I need to tell you. Something I've been keeping to myself for a long time." She frowned, surprised by the seriousness. "What's wrong?" Samuel took a deep breath, as if gathering all the courage he had. "I love you, Anna Lewis. Not as a doctor or as someone who admires you. I love you as a man who found in you something I didn't even know I was looking for. Your strength, your courage, your heart, everything about you inspires me." She stood still, his words echoing in her mind. All this time she knew there was a connection between them, but hearing it out loud was like opening a door to something she hadn't yet allowed to enter. Samuel Sion began, but the words faded away. Tears began to flow, and she didn't know exactly why she was crying. "You don't need to say anything now." He continued, squeezing her hands more tightly. "I just needed you to know that no matter what happens, I'll be by your side, not because I feel I have to, but because I love you." Anna Lewis looked at him, and in that moment she realized something that had been there all along. Samuel was everything she had always wanted, but never knew she needed. Loyalty, support, and above all, genuine love. With a broken voice, she replied, "I don't know what I did to deserve you, Samuel, but I know that for the first time I don't feel alone." He smiled and gently wiped her tears away. "You will never be alone again, Anna Lewis." And there, under the starry sky, she felt that for the first time, life was giving her something she never thought she would have. A love that not only strengthened her, but also made her believe again. The sun was low on the horizon, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink, while Anna Lewis watered the flowers in the garden of the rehabilitation center. She had allowed herself to find peace in small moments, even on hectic days. That's when she heard footsteps behind her. When she turned around, she was surprised to see Mark standing there with a look that mixed nervousness and regret. Mark said surprised, but without the pain that used to accompany that name. He took a step forward hesitantly. "I heard that you're doing an incredible job here. Everyone is talking about how you've helped so many people, and that you're better, Anna." Lewis nodded calmly. "Yes, I am." "And how is your life, Mark?" He sighed, looking at the floor before answering. Life went on, but I needed to see you. I needed to tell you that I'm sorry for everything, for leaving you, for not being the man you deserved. She listened to every word, but instead of anger or sadness, she felt something unexpected. Gratitude. Gratitude for having survived, for having found her strength, and for having discovered what really mattered. I'm not going to lie, Mark said in a firm but calm voice. What you did hurt me deeply. But today I realized that all of that brought me here. If it weren't for everything I went through, I might not have found my purpose. You being a bad man helped me find my way. If I were married to you, I might be more unhappy than ever. Purpose. You being a bad man helped me find my way. If I were married to you, I might be more unhappy than ever. Thank you, Mark. He looked at her with genuine regret in his eyes. You were always strong, Anna Lewis. I just wanted to be half the person you are. She smiled softly. I'm not the same person you knew, and that's okay. Today I just feel gratitude because you were part of who I was. But that's all. My life now is about who I'm becoming. Mark seemed to understand. He smiled sadly and took a step back. I hope you find all the happiness in the world, Anna Lewis. You deserve it. I've already found it, she replied sincerely, looking toward the center where so many lives were being transformed, including hers. When he turned and left, Anna Lewis stood there for a moment, feeling the gentle wind against her face. Could it be that my mum knew I would get here? That I would find strength in myself even when all seemed lost? In the distance, she saw Samuel approaching with a smile that she knew was just for her. And in that moment, Anna Lewis knew that the past had finally found its place, not as a burden, but as a lesson that helped her fly. The night was perfect. Colorful lanterns illuminated the courtyard of the rehabilitation center, while the sound of laughter and music filled the air. The community had gathered to celebrate something they all knew was special: the transformative impact of the work of Anna Lewis and Samuel. The tables were filled with dishes prepared by the neighbors, and children ran around laughing among the adults who were chatting animatedly. Lewis was near the entrance, watching the scene with a smile on her face and her heart full. All of this is thanks to you, she said. Samuel approached her, looking impeccable in a simple shirt. But the sparkle in his eyes was what caught everyone's attention, not just mine. Lewis replied, This is thanks to all of us. You, Lucy, Miguelito, everyone who believed we could make a difference. While she was speaking, the sound of a microphone being tested caught everyone's attention. Lucy was on the small makeshift stage with a mischievous smile. Attention, everyone, we have a special moment prepared. Look at our little hero, Miguelito. All eyes turned to the other side of the courtyard where Miguelito was standing holding a walker decorated with colored ribbons. He looked nervous, but his eyes shone with determination. Anna Lewis felt a lump in her throat. He can do it. Believe in him as much as I do with the help of a physical therapist. Miguelito took his first step, followed by another, and then another. Each movement was slow but steady. The silence that filled the courtyard was broken by timid applause that soon turned into a deafening ovation when he reached the stage. Miguelito let go of the walker for a moment and took a small step alone before leaning on it again. The joy on his face was contagious. I did it, Anna Lewis shouted as tears ran down her face. Yes, you did it, my champion, she replied with a broken voice. Lucy began to lead a round of applause that turned into a chorus of Viva Miguelito, while Anna Lewis went up on stage to hug him. The moment was so intense that it seemed as if time had stopped. Samuel stood next to the stage watching Anna Lewis. Her smile, her strength. He knew he was in the presence of someone extraordinary. This is only the beginning, he murmured to himself with a proud smile as the music returned and the party continued. Anna Lewis looked up at the starry sky. Mom, she whispered, your light never went out. It is in each of us. And in that moment, she knew that all the pain, the struggle, the tears had been worth it, because she was finally where she was meant to be, lighting the way for others to find their own light. The party had ended a few hours ago, but the rehabilitation center still seemed to vibrate with the energy of the celebrations. Anna Lewis was sitting on a bench in the garden, looking up at the starry sky. The distant sound of laughter and the sense of the flowers around her created a rare moment of peace after so many months of struggle and overcoming. Samuel appeared at her side, carrying 2 cups of steaming tea. "I thought you could use this," he said as he handed her one. "Thank you," Anna Lewis replied with a smile. "Today was more than I could have imagined." "You deserve this, Anna Lewis. All of this exists because you never gave up." She looked at him, her smile softening. "Samuel, you were by my side the whole time, and honestly, I don't know if I could have done it without you." He took a deep breath and turned to look at her directly. "And I don't want to be anywhere else but here by your side." Anna Lewis felt her heart race. The sincerity in Samuel's eyes was disarming, but at the same time, comforting. "Samuel, I spent so long trying to rebuild myself that for a moment I thought I would never be able to make room for anything else. But you weren't just by my side. You believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself." He smiled. But there was something serious in his expression because he knew you were capable of incredible things. "And now that you've come this far, I just want to be part of whatever comes next." She took a sip of tea, letting his words resonate in her mind for the first time in a long time. Anna Lewis allowed herself to imagine the future without fear and without paralyzing uncertainty. "So, what comes next?" she asked with a smile that mixed nervousness, excitement, and emotion. Samuel laughed, looking up at the sky for a moment before answering. "I think what comes next is planning something together, something big, something that combines everything we are and everything we want to build." She couldn't help the smile that spread across her face. "Together," she repeated, as if the word itself were a promise. While they continued talking, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter intensely. Lewis knew there would still be challenges along the way, but for the first time she felt that she would not face anything alone. Could it be that I am finally building the life my mother always wanted for me? The answer seemed clear because now, with Samuel by her side, she believed that together they could face anything. Time had passed, a few long years bringing with them new colors, new challenges, and above all, new joys. Anna Lewis was sitting on a wooden bench in the garden of the rehabilitation center, now a vibrant space full of life. Samuel was by her side, holding her hand as they watched little Gabriel, her 4-year-old son, run across the lawn with Miguelito, who had finally fulfilled his dream of running freely. "Look at that," said Samuel, smiling as he watched Gabriel try to catch up with Miguelito, now a young man with strong legs and sure steps. Anna Lewis nodded, her eyes shining with tears that were not of sadness, but of gratitude. "It seems like a dream." "No, it's the result of everything you fought to build," Samuel replied, squeezing her hand affectionately. Gabriel tripped and fell on the grass, but before anyone could intervene, Miguelito helped him up. The smile on their faces was so pure that it warmed Anna Lewis's heart. She took a deep breath, feeling the gentle breeze that moved the trees around her. Moment her mind traveled to the past, the accident, the pain, the betrayals, and everything she had overcome to get there. She looked up at the sky where the clouds seemed to dance gently around the sun and whispered, "Thank you, Mom. I never let my light go out." Samuel looked at her out of the corner of his eye, noticing the emotion on her face. "She would be very proud of you, Anna Louis." "I hope so," she replied with a soft smile. "But you know what? I think she knew I would get here because somehow I feel like she was always with me." Gabriel ran towards her with his arms open. Anna Lewis took him in her arms, showering him with kisses. Miguelito approached smiling and said, "You know, Anna Lewis, if it weren't for you, I would never have believed that I could get this far." She caressed his face and replied, "You always had that inside you, Miguelito. I just helped you see it." The sun began to set, painting the sky with shades of gold and orange. The scene was dazzling. But for Anna Lewis, it was the greatest symbol of everything she had achieved there. Surrounded by the people she loved and seeing the fruits of her journey bloom, she knew with absolute certainty that she had found what she had always sought: a life full of meaning, love, and hope. And as Gabriel laughed in her arms, she smiled. The smile of life. If you've made it this far, we want to know what you would do in Anna Lewis's place. Would you have the same strength to transform your pain into hope? Or perhaps in Samuel's place, would you have the courage to always believe in and support those you love? Leave us your comment here below. Your opinion is very important to us. And don't forget to activate the bell so you don't miss any of our exciting stories that make you reflect on what really matters in life. Now, if you want to continue inspiring us people about their choices, I'm sure it will inspire you even